Charlene Ruto, Winnie Odinga, and Kennedy Musyoka are three Kenyans who have made headlines of late. Charlene Ruto have been seen traversing this country in a bid to meet several governors, and very many people thought that she's being groomed to take over from his father, politically speaking. And of course, Winnie Odinga made headlines because she was being fronted to be part of the members of parliament in EALA, the East African Legislative Assembly, and so is Kennedy Ruto. There were two schools of thought, ladies and gentlemen. Others thought that this was wrong because already Mr. Odinga, Mr. Kalonzo Musyoka, and Mr. Ruto are staunch politicians. Very many people thought that they should now try and consider other Kenyans and not their family members. But is there a thin line between conflict of interest and the rights of a Kenyan, whether you are coming from the house of a politician or a hustler? What is the thin line, ladies and gentlemen? Kindly subscribe to our channel, like our videos and share them. Please, I want to emphasize on liking videos. The more likes a video gets, the more likelihood that YouTube will recommend it to more viewers. So kindly rate our videos high by giving it more likes. These three Kenyans have got one thing in common, ladies and gentlemen. They come from, their parents are politicians, and not just politicians, very prominent politicians. Why do you think that Mr. Raila Odinga, Mr. Ruto, and Mr. Kalonzo Musyoka are so much interested in ensuring that they give their children prominence politically? And in fact, let me tell you something. Have you ever asked yourself why the conversation around dynasty is dying out? Because the perpetuator of the same narrative is now a dynasty. William Ruto, our president, while campaigning some 3 years back, said that it is time for the dynasties to go home. And in fact, he said that Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta are dynasties simply because their fathers were the founding fathers of this nation. And William Ruto has since maintained that he's a son of nobody, that his parents are not known. Of course, recently we saw the mother during the pronouncement of the results. We saw the mother, but I think the father is not there. So this conversation is dying out because William Ruto is now a dynasty. In fact, anytime Nick Ruto or Charlene Ruto would be ambitious enough to contest for any seat, they will be reminded that their father is already a politician, and therefore they form part of the dynasty. But let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a conversation that has been going on in social media, and I was asking a friend of mine who also is a political pundit, and I was asking, what is the difference? Do you think people like Charlene Ruto have got their rights? Do you think if they qualify for a position, for example, do you think Charlene Ruto can be an ambassador maybe to the US if she has the qualifications? Or if she's appointed, will we say that that is conflict of interest simply because the father is the president of Kenya? Can someone help me understand where we draw a line between a son of a politician, looking at him as a Kenyan and with all the rights entrenched in the constitution, if he's qualified? But exactly why do you think that these three, the one gentleman and the two ladies, are now grabbing headlines politically? Because I want to believe that, contrary to what people think, that it is because of money and that is why they are, getting themselves into politics. I don't believe it is money. These people want to remain politically relevant, ladies and gentlemen. I have looked at Mr. Raila Odinga is now 77 years old. Kalonzo Musyoka is 68. Of course, William Ruto is a bit young, 55. So both the former Prime Minister and the former Vice President are in their political sunset, and very soon age will catch up with them. And they want to ensure that they leave their children to take the mantle, not exactly to become presidents, but at least to remain politically relevant, because when you remain politically relevant, then you will be in charge of the family businesses. And let me tell you, this is not about getting salaries. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, because if you look at the family of Raila Odinga, the family of Kalonzo Musyoka, William Ruto, Mudavadi, all those politicians, name them, these people are not interested. They have already made money. In fact, during when Musalia Mudavadi was being vetted to become the chief minister, he said is worth, I think, I'm trying to be corrected, I think 4 billion or 3 billion there. A billionaire cannot get into politics because he wants to make money. Rather, he can only get into politics because he wants to protect the already established wealth. And this is the reason why you will fight tooth and nail, but you will never win the battle of trying to reduce Charlene Ruto. I saw people criticizing her while she was walking around. The other time she was in Morocco enjoying herself. And I think the father is giving Charlene Ruto some limelight, trying to connect her to leaders in Africa and the world, so that when the time comes, when she now decides to go for it, whether she will start with the member of parliament in Eldoret North, whether she will decide to go for a senator or governor, you never know. I have heard people saying that in 2032, Ndindi Nyoro will contest under the UDA, and maybe Charlene Ruto will be the deputy, will deputize him. You never know. But he wants to make sure that Charlene is known. Raila Odinga is soon exiting politics. And if you thought it was a joke, there are people who already are seeing a vacuum. People like Miguna think that this vacuum must be filled as soon as possible. That's why they are preparing themselves. You look at people like Kidero. There are people who want to wrestle this power. They know too well that they cannot do it when Raila is still in control. But what they have to do is to try and test waters to see whether if Raila exits, they will fit into those shoes. And Raila would make sure that when he exits, then the daughter, who is politically mature and capable, is given the baton. Of course, I believe that in the next, that will be 2027, I can assure you, I can bet this to the bank, that Kennedy Ruto will contest for a position. I don't know, it could be a member of parliament, but I believe it will not be an MCA. He must. And like I said, let us have this conversation. You are a person who is the patronage of a political party, and you have the privilege of nominating someone to the EALA, and your son or daughter is qualified. He or she is a Kenyan, and he has all the credentials to fit into that EALA position. Will you give the son, or you will give someone? Because I've seen people are criticizing this for nothing. I've seen even in the nomination, the other time, it is said that Keter in the UDA won during the nominations. But ni kama vitu vilichezwa na he didn't see the light of day. What is the difference between that and giving someone a position to represent in the EALA? You've seen in the case of Homa Bay, where the ODM decided to give Madam Mwanga a direct nomination ticket, and Kidero was crying foul. Isn't it the same thing with the giving maybe people like Charlene and Winnie Odinga and Kennedy Ruto? Isn't it the same thing, ladies and gentlemen? From where you sit, is this a case of, is it nepotism, is it conflict of interest, or these three Kenyans also qualify to go to EALA? My point is this, ladies and gentlemen, before you get lost, I want you to understand that these people are getting into politics not because they want money. Keeping the family's political hegemony is very important to them. No one ever wants the name to die. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga passed the baton to Raila Odinga. So do you expect that when Raila finally exits power, then the name is gone? You want the former president, Kalonzo Musyoka, to decide to exit politics, and then you will never hear of that name again. And what if, for example, Kennedy Ruto has got ambitions of becoming an MP in Sekuru? What will you do? Will you tell him that you cannot contest because your father was a vice president? William Ruto has always said that he's not a son of any politicians, but he's now the president. If, for example, we would have made a line that you cannot contest if your father is not known, William Ruto would have not been the president. The same way, we cannot take away the rights of someone simply because he comes from a family of politicians. The fact that my father is a politician does not gag me from also contesting. I have my personal rights, the father or the mother has personal rights. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think in this case? If you ask me, in my very considered opinion, everyone, whether from a house of a poor, a pauper, or the house of a king, as long as they have their rights entrenched and protected solemnly in our sacred constitution, then they are allowed to contest, to sit in any office, ladies and gentlemen, to seek representation just like any other Kenyan. I don't know what you think. Please share with me your thoughts on this. But I personally think that everyone is equal before the Kenyan constitution, just like everyone is equal before the eyes of the Lord. Please share with me your comments in the comment section and tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Until we meet in another video, thank you very much for watching. Kindly subscribe if you're watching for the first time and like our videos. And thanks for your support, ladies and gentlemen.